This episode is not sponsored, but we encourage you to help support the small businesses, charities, and organisations that we mention. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Our Circle. I'm Jess.
I'm Rhiannon.
And today we're talking about feeling lost.
Mm-hmm.
This is just so relevant to me at the moment. I wanted to record this episode because it's just my current state of mind is that I don't know what I'm doing, who I am, to be honest, a complete identity crisis.
This is something that everyone feels as well. And
yeah,
I've said it
especially
before.
In their 20s.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anyone who's not experienced this, congratulations.
And share your secrets because we need to figure things out. I just wanted to come on and talk today. It's kind of like a therapy session, I guess, just get it all off my chest. And like you said, hopefully others can relate and share how they're feeling as well. Because I think talking about anything that's on your mind can help. But I think definitely talking about feeling lost and other people relating to you makes you feel like that's fairly normal.
Definitely.
It just makes you feel like there are other people in the same boat as you. And so it's not only the whole being in my 20s and not knowing what my career path is going to be, but also I feel like since becoming a mum, and I know not all of our listeners will be able to relate to this, but since becoming a mum, I feel like I've completely lost my identity. This is something that people talk about 100%, but I just don't think you realise it until you're in that boat. You're like, hang on, no, there are all these things that I love. And surely that's not just going to go away. Like when you have a kid, like you're not just going to completely disappear. But I feel like maybe things that I loved before, I just haven't had enough hours in the day to be able to do, or like the opportunity to be able to do myself and sort of throw myself into that passion anymore, which then has resulted in me feeling like, wait, at the end of the day, when I'm sat down and I've got time to myself, like what am I going to do? I don't know what to do with myself. Like I feel like my whole identity at the moment is based around being a mum. And it's so weird. Some days I'm like, wait, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just my life right now. And there's no shame in that. There's nothing, that's okay to identify as a parent. That's all right. That is a pretty big part of life if you have a child.
Yeah.
But part of me is almost like, I don't know, I just feel a bit of pressure to be like my own person as well and try and figure that out, because I'm like, well, I know I'm not just Mila's mum, I'm Jess. And who is Jess? Like, what does Jess like? What does Jess want to become? What does she, it's so hard. I've got a degree, I know what I'm interested in, but I just no idea how to get there, when I'll get there, if I'll get there, or if I'll just completely change my mind, It's scary.
I think there's an element here of, it's the unknown, isn't it? Like we don't know what our future is. So therefore we're having to navigate in the fucking dark, pretty much. It feels like we're going into it. It always makes me think of that Sex and the City quote of Samantha saying it's like the blind leading the fucking blind. Like we're all trying to like navigate this thing called life, and so much of it is us constantly feeling lost, hoping and just desperately wanting some answers to things that unfortunately, as much as we want it, we're not going to get the answers. We have to create the answers for ourselves, which is just so not helpful. Like, let's be honest, it's not helpful. And even though it's so true when people say, time will tell, or everything in time, or it just takes time, it's incredibly true and so fucking annoying. Like having to be reliant on something that provides you no comfort, like no immediate comfort, is so frustrating to me. So I think in your position, being a mother, where whenever you get time to yourself and then you're like, well, now what do I do with it, let alone thinking about even more time in the future, sort of thing. I think that must be really overwhelming. I can understand why you're feeling lost at the moment. I mean, I can relate to feeling lost without being a mother, let alone having that on top of everything.
And I guess throwing the pandemic in there is also massive, because it's been like staying at home for
Well, the
for
pandemic
what feels like
stopped
forever.
time. Yeah, the pandemic did the unthinkable. It stopped time, but yet, even though it, you know, quote unquote, stopped time, we're still actually living. So it's like, okay, well, hang on, like days are going by now, like of my life, where I'm not feeling like I'm progressing anywhere or whatever. And I saw a post actually literally before we recorded this saying you're not meant to grow through what you go through, just being okay and existing is enough, sort of thing. So it's sort of like that balance of, you are fine with what you are doing now, you're not required to do any more, but then the part of you that's like, yeah, but I want more, like I want to be doing more, and that leaves you feeling really lost or confused, I think.
We've spoken about this lots recently. We've just recorded an episode prior to this about societal pressures, and there's kind of another one that's kind of cropped up for me that I've been feeling a lot recently, is for some reason it not sitting with me well that I'm not working at the moment and earning money, even though my days are filled with looking after and raising a child.
Yeah, you're not lying on a beach sipping cocktails every day.
I know I'm not on holiday and I'm not sort of, you know, doing luxurious pampering things all the time, but for some reason I'm still trying to get my head around that that's okay right now, and that's a very important job, even though it's one that's not bringing in money and it's not paid, and I don't think it's recognized very much.
That was one of my
really tough
things that I was saying to you. Jess and I've had, you know, off camera discussions about this many times, and one of the things that I've said is, I don't understand how motherhood isn't something that you put on a CV.
You gain a lot of skills.
And I know you laughed when I said this, but the commitment, you're having to commit to something every single day, and
every hour of the day,
every hour, every second of the day, and showcase all of these skills that you've had to learn on the job, adapt to, and you are constantly displaying this, and that is not, by the way, like a complaint or anything as such. Like it's great that you're doing this, it's great that you're showing this, but that should be recognized as a skill, because there's a lot of jobs that need qualities like that are, and I think being a mother transfers into jobs. So I just don't understand how that's not a credible sort of thing to note. So I think
there are like as I've been job searching recently, I have seen a couple of specific job like search engines where it's for mums, so it's called like working mums or something like that. Yeah, so I think
that makes me so happy.
Yeah, I think they're kind of, a lot of it is based around like, these are jobs that are quite flexible around having families and things like that, but I think also a lot of it is recognizing the skill set that mums have especially like things like multitasking.
I was about to say, the highest quality of an employer is multitasking to me. Like, to be able to do multiple things, that's what employees want. You want someone who's able to do it all. That's a mother.
Work efficiently. Like, for example, meal and naps, I'm like, oh, what can I do in that space of time? What can I fit into that time frame? But yeah, it's just kind of, for me right now, as I'm job hunting, for anyone who doesn't know, during my maternity leave I was made redundant due to the pandemic, so I had the intention of going back to work a year after Mila was born in the end, but I was let go. So now it's about trying to find a job that is part-time, is local, in a pretty bad kind of job market at the moment. It is getting a bit better now, but obviously I have these certain requirements because I have a child.
Yeah,
even better if it was remote as well, that'd be great.
So this is also a little bit of an advertisement, if anyone knows.
Employ me, please. No, but genuinely, it's just kind of, it's so daunting. It's looking at all these jobs on like Indeed or whatever job search things and just thinking, oh my God, am I employable? Am I employable? Do these people, will they just laugh when they look at my CV, or just think, wait, like, what the hell is this girl doing?
I think that I don't know, I guess that's an insecurity, but I wonder when people look at my LinkedIn or whatever, if they just laugh.
Yeah, just think like,
that's not real.
Who's taking this seriously? Like,
yeah, I completely relate to that.
Yeah, and like you said, it is an insecurity thing, because I'm sure you know, like I've spoken to recruiters before and they're like, no, you need to put everything on there. Like, you
Mm.
know, any little relatable, transferable kind of skill, get it on there. But you just think, no, that's a bit silly, isn't it? Like
Well,
maybe that's,
that's like when, like you said, with the recruiters, I've once been told that I'm overqualified, and I was thinking, are you mad? I'm underqualified for so many things.
yeah.
To be skilled is qualified, as in an untrained skill. So like multitasking, like being reliable, like all these things that employers want. Those are skills. Those are
Mm,
skills. Those are employable skills.
yeah. So, you know, I just, to anyone out there who's feeling the same, please let us know that you're feeling this way, that we're not alone.
Definitely. I think a lot of people, so I'm speaking on the non-parental side of feeling
Mhm.
lost. I relate to it a lot from a perspective that I've always known in some way what I've wanted to do, and that's always been in the entertainment industry. And that is its own minefield because it's not guaranteed, it's not certain, it's not stable, it's not reliable. It's many of the things that you would have think would or thought would be awful for someone with anxiety. um,
Mm,
but that's what I've always wanted to do. But that's meant that a lot of my existence makes me feel like I'm questioning it, that I'm, what am I doing? That question of am I employable or reliable and stuff like that, because
mm.
my skills are niche. Because they are, in certain fields that I'm a creative person, I'm a creator. I'm in that field. So when I'm then trying to apply for jobs just for a sake of income, this is prior to starting the business and stuff, I felt really crap. I felt really crap, like applying for administration roles and not getting them immediately
Yeah.
because I did it mostly through recruiters and stuff or agencies.
Hmm.
I would feel so crap by not hearing back. And I understand that that's also the job market.
Yeah.
Not everyone can respond, but there's an element where I'm like, well, this is just rude. You could send at least an automated thing saying, no, sorry, you didn't get it. Because if you're applying, like, it takes a lot out of you. It's draining to apply for jobs.
It
So
could take a whole day just to do one
to do one,
application.
do one, if
Yeah.
you're trying to do it well, and then to just get a no, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just long. So I feel like not even having to think about the parental side of things, just as yourself
Mm.
navigating life, there's so much of feeling lost, and sometimes it's not even work related. Sometimes it's just about being my own person. I'm like, do I like this? No, I don't, but is that okay? Like, it's just questioning things. And I'd be a bit ridiculous to say that I don't compare, because I do compare, but not in the way where I'm like, oh, they have this and I don't, sort of thing. But when you see other people with their shit together, or what appears to be their shit together, you're sort of like, what have I done that's wrong? Or like, how have I not, what step did they get that I completely missed, or something? Like, what talk did they have that I wasn't a part of, where they're suddenly okay with whatever decision they're doing in their life and I'm still here, sort of thing. And I think for me
Mm.
as well, I think I have a lot of, I wouldn't say issues, but the fact that I still live with my parents, and I'm in my
Mm.
20s, I think that plays on me a lot. Not because I don't like living with my parents, or that I don't get on with my parents or whatever. I love my parents. I love our house, but I'd never pictured that I would be 26 still living with them. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not doing a job that is a regular income at the moment at all. And
Mm.
so that isn't going to be able to get me a house. It's not going to be able to help me rent anywhere really at the moment. And that's okay. I'm fine with that. But I have to keep reminding myself that it's a lot of daily affirmations of
Yeah.
self-reassurance. And I think
Mm.
it's quite tiring reminding yourself. I think sometimes it does help having these conversations with other people. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Like, you're fine. You are good. And everything
Mm.
you want to achieve eventually down the line will happen too. I would never like the thought of telling you, Jess, it's okay to be a mum and that's all you're going to be. Like, that's okay. Like, accept that's absolutely fine. I would never say that to you, because I'm like, well, no, because I believe that you're actually able to do more. If you wanted to just be a mum for the rest of your life,
Mm.
that would be
Mm.
amazing too. But I know that you have other aspirations, and I don't
Yeah.
doubt for a second that you won't do those. So I just think
Mm.
you have to, I think we all have to uplift each other in moments like this.
Yeah. I think another thing I struggle with is kind of, so recently I was contacted by a previous employer
Mm,
about a role that was opening up at work, and it was a full-time role, I was like, I'm definitely going to interview for it. I was like, I'm definitely going to do it. And then I sort of mulled over it for the weekend before speaking about an interview date the next week. And I was just in tears, like constantly for days, because I was just, at first I was like, this is amazing. Like, first of all, financially, be amazing to have two incomes coming in, but also amazing for me because, you know, I do have days where I'm like, this day is so monotonous. This day is so, it's just all about Mila. And actually, there's a time that will come at some point where I will be doing something for myself, and I won't just identify as a mum. There'll be something else that requires me doing something. I don't know how else to explain it, but I was crying because it was going from 18 months at home to full-time work, which is like 0 to 100. And that was such a massive debate for me in my head. Was
terrifying.
Like, yeah, it's terrifying. And it's just like also a huge decision, personal decision that I had to make for my well-being, because I was like, this is going to be really detrimental on me. Like, I will return back to work upset every day and feeling like I'm missing out on so much with Mila. To have to let that opportunity go by when I wanted something for a while was really, really hard to make. But remember saying to you, Ree, that I felt really empowered after making that decision, though, because I felt like, hang on, this is the first time in quite a long time that I've taken my well-being and my own feelings and
put them first
before my family, before any expectations from anyone else.
Which, by the way, to everyone, you are entitled and allowed to do. You are allowed to put yourself first. This is something that I keep working through on therapy. I get told in every session I have, like, you need to learn to put yourself first. And I don't, it's a really alien concept. But the thing is, in doing so, like Jess has just exampled and displayed, it's actually good for you. Like, this is a good example of doing something for yourself to help better your well-being, your mentality, and in turn that will show and reflect onto Mila and to Joe and your life.
Yeah, I mean, I had many conversations with Joe, and he said, like, at the end of the day, I would worry. He said, like, he would worry about me going back to work full time, my mental health deteriorating, and then I'm not going to be any use to anyone, let alone myself. Like, if I'm going to be, you know, upset and in a really bad place mentally at work, but also in the little time that I have with my family, like, what's the point in that? It's not worth any, you know, more money coming in just for that.
I think me listening as well to you after you'd made that decision, instantly you sounded like a different person. Like, you just felt it, like you sounded so much, not that you sounded like a hysterical person at all, but you know, you had sounded very nervous and anxious and upset and quite worried about all of the unknown factors. And then when you'd taken it into your own hands, you said, actually, no, I'm not going to do this. You just sounded so calm and comfortable, or like happy with that decision. Content is probably the better word to use. And that made me think, okay, that's definitely the right choice for you, because that doesn't mean that there isn't something else out there that's going to be better suited to you. Like you said, something part-time, something that could be remote, you know, something else. So
I feel like, if anything, after that decision, I've almost had like a new kind of kick up the bum kind of surge of confidence, because I was like, okay, wait, I'm back in control again. And I've done like a few applications since then and are continuing to look, and I just feel a bit more content with saying no to things. So I'll see a job and be like, okay, yeah, that's nearby, that's near me, but actually that really doesn't suit me right now, or that doesn't really suit my family. So that's okay, I can let that one go by. I think it's also, as much as people say yes to everything and take every opportunity, I think there's actually nothing wrong with also letting an opportunity pass you by.
I agree.
If you don't think that the time is right.
I think that obviously we're conscious as well that not everyone is in that position, that sometimes you do just have to take jobs just because of your situation.
Oh, I am so privileged, by the way. Like, to be in a situation where I've been made redundant, but that's okay, like for our family financially, for example, is just mind-blowing. And I'm in a very, very fortunate position where I haven't had to rush back to work. So I can see why someone listening to this would be like, what is this girl's problem?
No, because everything is relative. Let's put that out there. Everything is relative. Everyone has their own struggles. Of course, everyone has different degrees of that and whatever, but it's all relative. I think, though, for anyone who is in certain feelings of loss, whether it's in career or their own personal stuff, even if it is a career thing where, you know, like we just said, that they can't say no to an opportunity, that's fine. I think the mental prep of this isn't necessarily forever, though. You don't have to think that, okay, I really need this job because I'm in this financial position. You might not be in this financial position though forever. Like this will be a moment for now, and then we move, you know. And I think that's sort of what we have to sort of take. And I think everyone's timeline is different. I don't mean in life, I just mean when you do stuff. So you know how we were saying, or you were saying, you have this expectancy of having stuff together for your 20s, and then some people, like for me, I'm like, I've got over that. I'm like, no, I know I'm not going to have things together for my 20s. I'm like, but in my head I'm like, I keep hearing online or whatever that 30s are it, and I have now this almost like built up fear. What if I don't have my shit together by my 30s, you know, like what if I just don't get it together? So I think it's going to always be an ongoing battle with ourselves with these moments of feeling lost. And that is purely based on the fact that we don't have set answers for the future. It is very much about the unknown, and that is scary for a lot of us.
I just wish I was one of those people who could just go with the flow, be like, you know what? But that's so weird, isn't it? Because I feel like I'm also someone who's like, everything happens for a reason, but that's always in retrospect.
Yeah.
So like at the time I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what's coming next. This is so scary, or change is happening. And you'd think, as someone who's experienced quite a lot of change, that I have got better with it, but
You're
definitely
incredible.
not.
You're
I'm not.
very adaptable, like very adaptable, even though you
I've
don't like
learned
it.
I'm more resilient than I thought I was.
Yeah.
But then in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, everything happens for a reason. You know, I'm here today because of it's supposed to be like this. But
I feel like
I
that
hope.
definitely after as well, because I feel like beforehand, I think my anxiety is based on a timeline for me. So because for anyone who hasn't, I don't know if I have discussed it or not. Okay, I'll put it out there. So my biggest anxiety is like death anxiety. So a lot of my feelings of anxiousness or whatever comes from somehow me linking it to death. Like opportunities, if something comes up, I'm like, I've only got one life, I need to make the most of it. So what do I need to do? Okay, is this going to get me here? And then if suddenly one pathway that I've taken almost feels like it's deterred me away from that end goal or something. So for example, like being successful in entertainment or something, and I'm here, like let's say right now my current feeling is, okay, I'm trying to be an artist, I'm not getting a lot of money right now, fuck. Like I'm not getting anywhere closer, what am I doing? That's because of my impatience. Like I'm like, like I need to get here, and I'm here, but I can't really move any quicker because I really like it this part here, help sort of thing. And that's sort of, for me, it's this constantly wanting to move, and I'm being constantly, I mean, Jess keeps reminding me, I'm being told to wait for so many things. Like my life feels like it's very much a waiting game while still living, and that's so confusing for me. It makes me feel very lost.
It's such a hard thing to sit with, that you're not at a place that you want to be, and trying to like be told that you should be enjoying the moment.
Yeah,
and feeling like that's just,
as
you're
well.
just letting that go by. Do you know what I mean? It's just it's so hard to sit with that feeling. But yeah, on a more positive note, I feel like I'm starting to like figure out that it's okay to be interested in mum things. It's okay to have that side of me as well. That is still part of my identity. I've accepted that.
I've welcomed it. She's allowed.
Yeah, okay, fine. You can come in.
You can come in. You can sit with us.
And just kind of embracing that a bit more. So recently, this is going to be the dedication of this episode. I have created a page called Mila, Joy and Me on Instagram. And on there is kind of just putting in all of my baby related, motherhood related interests onto that page, trying to be as honest and open and real as possible, but also showing the pretty things like Mila's outfits maybe, and also putting in my new love for cooking as well, which I've sort of discovered in the past year. So I'd really appreciate it if you guys could go and follow that page, and please comment on this video or on our posts and let us know if you're feeling lost. I'm sure we'll all come together and be like, totally understand how you're feeling. And also, if you felt like that, but you're not feeling like that anymore, and what you kind of maybe accepted or things that have helped you cope with feeling that way, that would be really appreciated.
That would be especially. I completely agree. I think if we can have as many of you trying to uplift one another as well as us, and we'll absolutely do the same, we'd much appreciate it. But thank you very much for listening. Please make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please make sure to stream on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, share on Instagram and all those great things, and we'll see you for our next episode. Bye.
Bye.